Okay, people, today I am super excited to share with you my master financial portfolio. It is a Google Sheets that is built showing all the assets I'm invested in. And it allows you to break out, how you want to allocate your investments. Do you want to allocate your investments towards income? Do you want to allocate your investments towards growth, ETFs, or individual stocks? It allows you that flexibility, and it's a great lens into a financial portfolio. I'm super excited to share this with you guys. It is going to be available to my Patreon community for digital download. So if you'd like to grab it, let me know. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, people. So we are here. We are here at the master stock portfolio tracking spreadsheet. And this is where we're going to build out our financial portfolio, including income strategies, including growth ETFs, including individual stocks. And of course, this is a template that you can download the link for and utilize yourself. And that's the intention here. It is to give you a framework, to give you a structure for you to utilize and for you to plan for yourself. Or if you like the names that I've chosen, feel free to go with the names that I've chosen. But I'm invested in these. These are phenomenal names that have done well. And so, here's the structure. So first off, what you're going to want to do is understand, and you want to have a goal in mind for how much income you want, how much growth you want, and how much allocation to individual names you want, right? So in this case, I've allocated 65% to income, 30% to growth ETFs, and we want ETFs more than we want individual names, just for diversification and hedging against risk. But we also still want to have some individual bets if we so choose to. We want that total to add up to 100%. And you can play around with this. If you want to go 60%, 35%. If you want to go, 50, and then 10, and then 40. You can choose how you want to play with this. Right now, in this case, I'm focusing in on more income-oriented strategies. And the portfolio value in this case is 1.5 million. Again, you can adjust this as you see fit according to your strategy. Okay, you adjust it as you see fit. And let's bring this down to 30% to get up to 100%. So you're going to adjust the income allocation. You're going to adjust the growth, and you're going to adjust the growth individual, and of course you'll adjust your total portfolio value. And when you do that, all of these book costs and all of these values here will adjust. Okay, so the quantity will adjust, the book cost will adjust. Look, if I change this to 60, the book cost is adjusting, the quantity will adjust to accordingly, right? So it'll give you that framework on how many shares you need to buy based on your portfolio value and based on your allocation to a goal, allocation to sub-portfolio. Again, sub-portfolio being income, growth ETF, or growth individual. Okay, so again, we have this 60%, 30% for growth. We have 5% for growth individual. Let's make this start at 35%, and we've changed it to $2 million portfolio. With this portfolio, right now the capital gains is 0, and that is because it is the beginning of the portfolio essentially. What you'd have to do right now is change your average buy price, and then leave the rest as is, because the actual current price will change dynamically, because it's set based on Google Finance pricing. So it'll change throughout the day or tomorrow or in the future. But this price we will want to change and make static. If you do actually go with this portfolio or go with some of these ETFs, we're going to want to make this static and change it to your actual buy price for each share. Okay, and then this is going to also estimate your annual income based on the assets that you've put out. And I'll show you how it looks at the yield, but this also will estimate your annual income based on the portfolio. Okay, and it also, in this case, we're with the portfolio I've set up, we're expecting like an average annual return. In the past, it's been doing a 20% average annual return over the past year. Is that realistic over the long run? No, it's probably going to come down. But over the past year, this portfolio in it entirely has done 20% appreciation, which is extremely healthy and certainly beats the S&P. Okay, so now let's look at the assets and then look at kind of this chart. Okay, so from an income-oriented standpoint, within the income-oriented portfolio, here are my go-to options. Okay, it's QQQI, of course, and I've spoken on this at length. Okay, and what you can do is, again, everything is set up. The current price will be a dynamic. All you have to do is add in your symbol here, and it will dynamically update. Let's say I want to change this to SPYI. That will dynamically update everything as well. But right now we have QQQI. So that's going to dynamically update back to the QQQI NASDAQ 100 NEOS ETF. Okay, so we see here the quantity, and that was again baked out based on the allocation that we have here, but also based on the percentage allocation within this specific portfolio. So you can also choose, how much you want to allocate to NEOS here. You can choose how much you want to allocate. If you want to allocate more to NEOS, to QQQI, you can do so. Of course, but this needs to add up to 100. So make sure this area adds up to 100%. Each area needs to add up to 100%. Okay? Each area needs to add up to 100%. We have to change this. This area needs to add up to 100% as well. Let's do that. Okay? Excellent. Okay. So we have here QQQI. It's been set up. Because of such high allocation, we have here 480K. Right now, again, no capital gain. But like I'll just show you. Let's say we bought this at $50 a share. That capital gain will then show up. Okay? The capital gains will show up. And you'll see that capital gain there. But because right now, assume we just bought it today and you haven't changed this price to the actual to whatever you actually purchased this at, right now it's going to stay flat. It also shows you your annual yield and your annual income for each asset. Expect the expected annual income based on the yield. And we also have here the past return for the past year, the past total return for each asset. Okay, awesome. So for income, here's what I recommend. It's QQQI, BTCI, SPYI, okay, VYM, and that is VYM is I like it because now you're buying some underlying in dividend-oriented stocks. They're attractive. The yield isn't as strong at 2.53%, but the total return over the past year is 13.61%. This one arguably has beaten SCHD, and it's a nice kind of hedge and a nice dividend play as more of just kind of like a tried and true dividend workhorse. It's not a huge yield farmer, but it's a yield, it's a dividend workhorse. It's a grower, and we want that. And then we have here SGov as another kind of just hedge as a cash play to kind of give us a bit of a hedge in case we need to, have some cash on hand, in case we want to, reallocate this cash in certain ways. If we see an opportunity, we want SGov as a short-term treasury opportunity that just yields a decent amount. It yields 4.43%, which is actually great. The price action is pretty not volatile. It's very stable. So pretty much it's like a high yield savings account. Okay. So you can see I'm heavily indexed towards NEOS funds. So with BTCI being the Bitcoin ETF, SPYI being the S&P 500 covered call ETF, and of course QQQI, the NASDAQ. We have VYM for a bit of a workhorse dividend player, and then just kind of a cash cow, cash opportunity with SGov. But then with all portfolios, I think there needs to be a component of income and a component of growth. So here are my ETFs, tried and true ETFs for growth. right? And we're not just only yield chasing, we're gonna look at growth as well. So here are my go-tos for growth. It's gonna be VOO, which is a tried and true Vanguard S&P ETF, has averaged over the past year 16% in total return, and truly the S&P has done about 10%, over the past 100 years on average. So you can't bet against it. And really everything we're doing is pinned against the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500. So we also want QQQM, which is the NASDAQ 100 ETF. QQQM is better than QQQ because it has a lower expense ratio. So definitely consider that. I am big on Bitcoin. I am a Bitcoin bull. And so I think with any allocation to any portfolio, we want to allocate some assets to Bitcoin. So I've chosen here the IBIT. It's the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. Within this portfolio, you can see the breakdown: 40% to S&P, 30% to QQQ, 20% to Bitcoin, and then 10% is to VXUS, which is getting a bit of international exposure. A lot of the things we've been doing are more hedged and pinned to the US market outside of, I would say, Bitcoin so far, which is more of a global asset. And then now here we have the VXUS, and that's going to be our little hedge against the US market, getting a bit of international exposure, just a bit of it, 10% of this portfolio, so 90%, or more rather 70% to US, and then I would say here actually 30% to global or international exposure. Okay. And again, you can play around with this as you see fit. If you like something different, if you like SPMO or something different here, feel free to adjust as you see fit. But here's kind of my tried and true recommendations, how I see a conservative portfolio shaking out that seeks both income and growth. And lastly, we're going to look at some individual names. And here are some of the names that I like. Again, you can play around with this. This area is much more towards your discretion and much more, for you to edit. But the names I like are tech oriented. So Microsoft, Robinhood, which is continuing to see exponential growth. Berkshire Hathaway is more of a conservative player, but really you can't bet against them. Visa, Meta, and Nvidia. Nvidia, of course, being a huge opportunity and grown over the 41% over the past year. Hood has done 419%. So we're kind of buying at the top here, but it's okay. I believe in their long-term potential. You can see like the income from the growth side is like limited, fairly limited, if not any, right? 6K on how much are we spending? 800K to get 6K in return. It's nothing, right? Where our income is coming from is all the income side, those yield ETFs. And so you have a healthy balance here. And also like keep in mind with these NEOS ones, the benefit is that they have really good tax efficiency. So you kind of don't pay the majority of the tax until you sell, as the return of capital is reducing your cost basis. And it's a really efficient tax strategy. Okay. So again, you can play around with these individual names as you see fit. You can play around with all of it, but this is kind of, again, my structure, how I recommend going about a portfolio strategy. It's not overly complicated. It has a great combination of different approaches of income, market ETFs, and individual names, and has shown great results over the course of many years, ultimately. And then here I have some different charts, just a chart that looks at your percentage allocation between portfolios, percentage allocation between each individual investment, and then your capital gains chart here. And this will adjust as you change your capital gains chart. So let's say, again, we have QQQI. Let's say you had a gain on that. That's going to adjust the gain, right? So you can see here now I had a 6% gain on QQQI here, and that will adjust to show you a lens on your capital gains as you adjust this. But I think it's a super, super simple, easy to use structure, easy to use template. I really do hope you appreciate it. I hope you use it and structure your strategy, maybe around some of the names that I've chosen or other names that you have, and that this template is super helpful for you. As I mentioned before, but I'll mention it again, this template is going to be available to Patreon members that are subscribers to the Patreon, or you can buy it on a one-off basis. But please join the Patreon if you can. We'd love for you guys to be part of our community, our growing community, and I hope that this can help build smarter, more diverse portfolio strategies for you, and helps you give you a lens into a full picture on what a portfolio can do for you. So outside of that, guys, I hope this was beneficial, and let me know in the comments below, and all the best. Cheers. Okay, guys, what do you think about this master portfolio template? Please let me know in the comments below. And outside of that, guys, I hope you have a great one. All the best, and we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.